we compare COVID-19 with SARS, so the virus shedding is different. In SARS, so virus shedding reaches the highest after onset of symptoms, like 4 to 5 days after onset of symptoms. That means patient will be very infectious after they have the symptoms or they already seeking care. However, for COVID-19, patient will have the highest virus shedding even before onset of illness. That means people are infectious before they have symptoms. Patient period is 5 days.
Right.
The longest is about 14 days. That means if people stay at home, not go to outside, no movement, no exchange, after 14 days, self-separation in the community, there are almost no virus. All the people are healthy. If they infected before home isolation, they will develop the symptoms. If they are asymptomatic, they also after 2 weeks they will be recovered. The virus will be moved from because of immune system. So all the people are healthy. So the most challenge we find now is not in the Wuhan. Even in the Wuhan, they still have a few hundreds of cases in the hospital. They have hundreds of close contacts in the quarantine. In the community, it's relatively safe compared with outside of China.
So you're suggesting that there is actually a very slim chance of asymptomatic patients going from Wuhan and other parts of Hubei to different parts of China. Is that what you're trying to indicate?
Very unlikely to have asymptomatic cases in the community.
Because the isolation already been done, right?
Yes.
It's
So
multiple times of 14 days already right now.
that shit right there I just did had me breathing so hard, and I ain't even do that many of them, but that shit had me breathing so hard I had to wait to start talking on this video. So good afternoon, everyone. God bless everyone. God bless us to the souls of the people that passed away. But today's topic, while I'm gonna be working out, is focusing on social distancing versus lockdown. What works and what doesn't work, right? And we all know that by December 31st of 2019, China had already revealed its first case, and within 3 weeks after that, they pretty much had locked down the whole province of Wuhan. They also did some research and even revealed the genome of the virus to the whole world by like January 15th, somewhere around that area. So that by January 15th, the Chinese government had done something no government has ever done in world history, and that was lock down basically a whole city. Not only did they lock down the whole city, but within 3 weeks, they was able to identify the genome of this new virus, which nobody knew what it was about, how it spread, or anything of such nature. And they provided it to the world. They provided it to the World Health Organization. You can see I'm still breathing hard over here. So by January 15, the whole world already had plenty of data and plenty of time to start preparing before it actually reached their own countries. And so we're gonna look more into that. For right now, I gotta do another set of this, and this thing ain't no joke. Whew. I don't know. Shit's killing me, man. I mean, I haven't worked out, I think, in 2 days, but this shit right here killing me. But anyway, back to this analyzation of social distancing. So we already established two main issues, right? Which is, very early on, China disclosed to the world when the virus broke out. And two, within 3 weeks, China closed down the whole province. Now, we're not going to get into where did the virus originally came from. You could call it a Chinese virus, you could call it whatever you want. You could say it started in China, you could say it started in Iran, you could say it started in the US. That's not what we're going to argue about today. We're just analyzing what works better, social distancing or complete lockdown, right? So after China disclosed all this information, that gave the world a heads up. Now, if you've been following this and doing your research, you already know that as far back as 2015, scientists have been talking about a pandemic, sort of like the one we're going through now, that would eventually come about. That was 2015. And then last year, 2019, in November, they had the 201 event where they was simulating a fake scenario of a real live event, right? Trying to see if they was prepared for it or not, right? Obviously, that didn't work because they still wasn't prepared even after practicing for it. So anyway, what we also know was that the virus was very infectious. Now, it was a brand new virus, and China didn't take no chances. They locked down the whole province. Yeah, I seen the videos. They was welding people shut inside their houses. They was dragging people outside their houses so they can isolate them. All right, yeah, I seen all that. But you know what they did do? They stopped the province. If you go on Google Maps, I mean, they stopped the spread. If you go on Google Maps and just type in Wuhan, you're gonna see that the province of Wuhan is like in the center of China, and it's relatively very small compared to the rest of China. So by them locking it down, they actually prevented the virus from spreading from Wuhan to the rest of China. That was a remarkable job, right? Nobody in the world has been able to lock down a city like that and respond in such a short time the way they did. So they get credit for that. In the meantime, what was going around the world? Well, business as usual, right? Everybody was downplaying it as it was nothing serious, nothing more than the flu, or maybe a cold. Only a few people were gonna die. It's nothing to be worried about. And you had all your elected officials saying, go on about your business, don't worry about it. It's not even gonna come over here, and if it does, it's gonna be very, very small. Rarely anybody's gonna die from it, right? That's what we was hearing in the western side. And all you heard on the media was just criticism of how China locked down their people. And, you know, that was the wrong way to go about it because, you know, a free democratic country, for example, like America, wouldn't do such a thing, right? So in the meantime, the virus spread and it went into Europe. And in Europe, they heard about it too, just like America had heard about the virus already spreading. But did they lock it down? No, they did not lock it down. They just kept saying to themselves, don't worry about it, we got this under control. Until finally, the number of cases started flooding the hospital, and that wasn't even the turning point. The turning point was actually when the bodies started dropping. Once you started having 200 people overnight dying, then to 300, then to 500, me over here in the Bronx, I was already watching. I said, you know what, this thing is serious. This is serious. I don't even know why America ain't even responding the way it should be. And like I told you, I work for tourism. So you had all these tourists coming on my bus, right? Because I'm the tour guy, so I got to give a tour of New York City on the bus. And while you didn't have too many Chinese or Asian people coming anymore because they stopped the flights from coming in, you had nothing but Italian people, people from Spain, and people from the UK were coming on my bus, which is usually the majority of the people on my bus anyway. And I started wearing a mask. Nobody at my job was wearing a mask. And I said, you know what? I already know how Americans are. They don't think it could happen until it finally happens. So I'm wearing my mask. And my employer says something to me, I'm going to file a grievance complaint, right? So I would wear my mask. And of course, I would have to take it off when I was going to do the tour because it wouldn't sound right on the microphone. But I made sure to stay away from the tourists as I was on top of the bus. And the bodies just kept dropping over there in Italy, right? And I'm like, well, damn, these people don't even want to close this shit down. Like, you know, they're not just coming from China. You got people in Italy infected, people in France being affected, right? What's going on? Why is nobody responding to this, right? And of course, you heard people like Major de Blasio, you know what I'm saying? Hey, go about your day, don't worry about it. Trump playing down the whole administration. This ain't got nothing to do with just Trump alone. This is the whole system, right? Between your local officials, state governments, and federal government, everybody playing it down. Of course, you had the main news stations playing it down, saying it was nothing, we was overreacting, people like me were overreacting and stuff like that. So then, Italy finally started having like 600, 700 people a night dying over there. And that's when they finally said, you know what? I think we should close this down. And that's what they did. They locked it down. So now that they locked it down, everybody in Italy was terrified. Nobody even wanted to come outside. You ain't had to tell them to stay inside. They were staying inside no matter what, because people were just dropping like flies over there, right? And then, of course, France, UK, they didn't want to lock it down. As a matter of fact, the Prime Minister of the UK said we should use herd immunity. And if you don't know what herd immunity basically is you let everybody in your country get infected. And there's only two ways that could probably work. One of them is if you already got the vaccine. And we don't got the vaccine. So that definitely part of it wasn't working. The other one was where you have to infect at least 80 to 90% of your whole country. And then as they recover, they will get immune to it. And then everybody else around you probably will not get infected anymore, because the majority of the country has already gotten infected, recovered from it. Now, the problem with herd immunity, as the professor from China said, is it's going to cost a lot of lives. And if you got a big country, for example, the US, 360 million, the UK, I don't know, 76 million, something like that, that means you're going to have millions of people dying if you take that approach. But that was the approach UK wanted to do, right? And in a way, also, some people here in the United States were saying the same thing. Let's just get everybody infected. Don't worry about it. Ain't too many people going to die anyway, right? And that was herd immunity, and I actually think that's still going on. But anyway, they didn't want to close it down. And so finally they closed it down. People starting to take note, and then America still didn't want to take note. France still didn't want to lock it down, right? UK still didn't want to knock it down. Then they came up with this thing called social distancing, right? Just like Andrew Cuomo said, right? He said, well, we ain't gonna lock it down. Why? Because this ain't China. This ain't the Communist Republic of China, right? This is America, home of the brave, home of the free, and also home of the stupid, right? So they didn't lock it down. They let business run as usual. Now I'm gonna do a set, and then we'll continue this on.
So-called herd immunity.
The required level at least 70 to 80%. So in order to achieve that, we have two strategies. One strategy is the best if you have a vaccine available. So everybody have a vaccine vaccinated.
So that's herd immunity anyway.
Yeah, then they can quickly to create herd immunity. Yeah. Another strategy, as in the early stage, UK proposed that you need to pay, lost a lot of lives. So that will be miserable. It's very hard to be accepted. Let the outbreak literally continue to spread in the community. You're watching people dying, doing nothing. That's not acceptable. Sure what the temperature is, but it's cold. So anyway, so now they came out with this social distancing thing, right? Because they didn't want to lock it down. That was too communist. So we're gonna do social distancing. And what does that mean? Basically, it means you take it upon yourself to stay away from other people. And of course, the recommendation was 6 feet. Now we know the virus can travel as far as 27 feet. Now we know the virus can actually stay floating in the air for up to 3 hours. Now we know the virus can actually be on surfaces for days, right? But those were all signs that by the end of January, everybody already knew. The West just kept downplaying it. And we already know the reason why, because it came out on national TV, right?
politicians and the president said it, the economy, the economy, the economy. We can't shut it down. The United States is already in debt. They owe everybody in the world money, right? So they know that by closing down the economy, it was going to be a really, really bad thing. For the poor anyway, because the rich, you know, they still going to have their money. They still going to be hiding in their bunkers and in their high rises and all that. But for the poor. And so anyway, did social distancing work when it came out? No, it didn't. Because you had your elected officials that came out on TV in every state government in the United States, or in France, or the UK, and they told his people in a nice way, can you guys stay home? If you guys stay home, it's gonna stop the spread. And what happened? What did everybody do? They went out to the nightclubs, they went out to the bars, and then your elected official came out again and said, hey, I don't know what's going on here, but we told you guys if you guys could just stay home. If you stay home, it's just gonna save lives. Can you just please stay home? And then what happened the next day? Right, they had spring break. They went out to the beach. All the young people thought they was invincible, it wasn't gonna affect them. And then when they closed down the beach, right? Because the state officials started noticing, you know what, these people ain't listening to us. Oh, you think? You think? Why you think China locked it down? You think a bunch of Americans is gonna listen to you? As hard-headed as they is, as stupid as they is, as ignorant as they is, right? When they listen to people telling them, hey, don't wear a mask, it's no good for you, it doesn't work, really, right? So what did they do? Well, they went from the beach, they went across the street to where all the hotels had their pools, and they congregated around the pools. It was like, all right, they shut down the beach, we'll just go to the pool. And then when they shut that down, oh, they closed that down, we'll just go over here. And if they shut that down, we'll just go over there. So social distancing has never worked. And then the state officials, federal government, obviously started noticing that didn't work. So they actually started locking down and closing down businesses and giving out orders saying, listen, these businesses by tonight have to be shut down. If we catch you open, we're going to give you a summons, we're going to give you a fine. So they actually started locking the bars down, the restaurants down, the clubs down, the local gathering places. They started locking them down. And that forced people to stay away from it. It wasn't social distancing because they was going out anyway. You would go on social media today and you still got people arguing that we should never have closed the country, that it should still be open. As a matter of fact, because we made a mistake of closing it, we should open it up tomorrow, right? You still got people debating this situation. So social distancing never worked. What happened was they closed down the establishment under the threat of fines. That stopped people from going there because they was closed, so they had nowhere to go. So of course they congregated in whatever spaces available they had in their neighborhoods. Until to this day, I can walk around my neighborhood and still see people hanging outside. You can go on YouTube and you'll see plenty of videos of people outside just hanging out, right? Plenty of them. So social distancing has never worked, yet they're going to tell you, they're going to lie to you the same way how they told you the lies about how the virus spread and the lies about not wearing a mask, right? Now they're telling you that social distancing works. It never worked. It never worked, all right? It was because they closed things down that the people had nowhere to go, and so that forced them to stay inside their house. Now, I'm not saying everybody, because there are people that did stay inside, for example, like me and others. But majority of Americans, if you would have left all the businesses open, they would have still been going out today. They would have still been spreading the disease. They would have still been dying at a greater amount than they are dying today. So social distancing never has worked, right? What has worked? Locking it down, right? And how do we know this? All you got to do is look at the data. How many people died in the United States so far? More than 20,000 people died. Why? Because they chose the economy over lives. They thought, well, you know what, let's social distance people, and let's see, being that we don't have the vaccine, it'll be herd immunity in progress where a lot of people will get infected and then they'll recover, and that'll create a buffer zone for everybody else that hasn't gotten infected. So in other words, we're gonna basically let people die, right? And if you heard the professor from China, they didn't take that approach because they said too many people were going to die, and so that's why they locked it down. So now when you compare the United States and China. United States has 20,000 people dead. China has about 3,400 dead. Obviously, what works better? The lockdown, not social distancing. And yet you still got people all around social media and these high elected officials who lied to you before still lying to you now that social distancing works. It never worked, and the data shows you it never worked. All right? And you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. All you got to do is just look at the facts and the data before you research the entire internet, look at every angle, every argument, and you could come up with your own conclusion that social distancing has never worked. All right? It's never worked, and it will never work. In the future, if we ever recover from this and this ever happens again, the solution is automatically lockdown. That's it. It's been proven. The United States proved it. They want to be number one so much. Now, number one in infected cases and number one in amount of people dead, all because they wanted to save the economy, right?
Professor Wu, China detected the virus early. China also tried to curb the outbreak early. However, there are those in different parts of the world that have been accusing China of one thing or another. What do you make of this very chaotic, mixed signals coming from all over the world?
For the global outbreak could be occurred or started in any corner of the earth. So this global pandemic, we are hit in the first time, or we are aware, but where it really starts first, we do not know yet. So we still need to collect scientific information to understand. I think the challenge we faced outside accusing China, it's mainly because the blame we do not responded rigorously enough. So that's not true. That's not true. When the outbreak occurred in the Hubei, so all the provinces in the China, they prepared well enough and to prevent the epidemic in their province. So look at the number of cases in the rest of provinces. Besides Hubei, the highest number of cases is in the Guangdong. It is still less than 1,600 cases. So if we compare with countries in the European continent, each of country, the population size overall, like provinces in the China. However, if you look at the magnitude of epidemic, the number of cases, and also you compare timeline. So epidemic hurt China earlier than the European continent. They do have sufficient time to prevent. If they do similar like provinces in the China, the European continent will have far more less cases. So I think it's the most political game trying to change the attention from control epidemic to more political excuse.
Are Chinese numbers trustworthy?
Frankly, I want to tell you, the data in China is the best in the world.
Why would you say so? Is that because you're working for the China CDC?
No. After SARS outbreak, we take lessons from outbreak. Then we create a very good system called electronic, web-based, real-time data reporting. That data require all the doctors in the country, as long as you diagnose infectious disease, it's a law required, and you need to report. The first alert was issued in 2019 December, December 31st. Okay, even at that time, we do not know what caused this pneumonia. At this time, we shared this potential risk of outbreak with WHO and with the rest of the world in January 3rd. Then we isolate the virus in January 7th. That means 4 days before we know the passage, we already shared that information. So after isolate the virus, we know the sequence. Then we share the sequence with WHO and with other countries in the January.
Oh shit, Corona. So yeah, so now you still got states want to open stuff up. Florida especially. Like everybody retires and moves to Florida. A lot of old people over there, right? A lot of senior citizens. And yeah, he the first state wants to keep it open. Wants to refuse to keep that thing closed, right? They don't care. They want to let people out. Because it's herd immunity that they're using. They don't have a vaccine. It's going to take a while before they do get a vaccine. So their approach is, you know, as they already said, let everybody get infected and the strong is going to survive. That's the United States approach. That's your government approach, right? Locking stuff down completely. It was too communist. It was too socialist, right? It involved saving too many lives. So they did what they do best. Just lie to the people, straight on national TV, right? From day one, if you've been following this, they've been lying to people. And people still believe them. They still got these patriots waving their flags. Yeah, I support my country no matter what. Yeah, well, guess what? When they open this country back up, you should be the one going out to work. I'll stay in my house. All the fools that still want to go out, you should have let them stay out there. You should have let them keep spreading and infecting each other, and then they just die out. That way we have less stupid people in America. That's what there is, stupid. And you gotta call a spade a spade. It makes no sense. It's obvious that the virus was spreading some way, somehow through the air. You didn't need somebody to cough in your face for you to get infected. It was so obvious, but they kept lying to you, lying to your face. And that's how the United States is. When all this is done, people are going to go back to their normal lives. It's going to be the United States of amnesia. Everybody's going to forget about all the people that die. You know, well, they might do a little monument or something, right? Create it into a tourist attraction. So now everybody around the world will come visit this small tourist attraction and donate their money for the people, the families that died, or for some type of virus research or something like that. You know, they'll probably do something like that. But other than that, that's my conclusion. 20,000 people dead in the United States, and it's going to be more because there's about 10,000 people in ICU. And China has already have their country opening back up. And if the United States would have took the same approach, we probably would have been opening back up by the time the summertime came out. We would have probably been heading out to Coney Island and Orchard Beach and South Beach to go dip in the water and everything, right? But the United States and the rest of the Western countries decided to take a piecemeal approach, which was, well, let's ask nicely for people to stay inside. And when that didn't work, well, let's close down the football stadiums and the baseball stadiums. And when that didn't work, let's close down the bars and the nightclubs. And when that didn't work, let's just close down everything, right? Like, oh my God, what in the world did you? And then you heard that governor from Georgia, we just learned within the last 24 hours that people who show no symptoms are spreading it. Oh, really? You just learned that out. Jesus Christ. And you call these people leaders, right? These are the people that you rely on to lead your country into the future, right? It's despicable. It's despicable, right? But the system is set up so that these people, majority white people, can stay in control of this country, and the rich elite people are the ones who manifest themselves and get all the money, right? Look what they gave you, $1,200. $1,200 doesn't even pay for most people's rent. Doesn't even cover all their expenses. But that's what they gave you. And now they're going to come out with another $1 trillion package. And what they going to give you? Some crap, some pieces of paper that don't mean shit. right? You know, I gotta make fun of them because you had all these people who kept saying I was wrong. And actually, I've been right the whole time. And that's why I tend to make a lot of enemies and why a lot of people tend to hate me, because I just tend to be right so much. I'm not right 100% of the time. But being that I analyze everything, I tend to be right based on my research. And then people just start hating me because of that. It ain't my problem. I'm analytical. I do my research. I study. I read. I observe. I listen to both sides of the story. I just don't say, hey, I'm a Democrat. I'm just going to vote for Democrat. I don't give a fuck what the other side. Oh, I'm a Republican. I'm going to stick to my Republican Party no matter what the evidence shows it for. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Anyway, that's my opinion. The data shows it, right? Complete failure on the response of the United States, and they ain't never gonna admit it. The whole world knew by January 15 of the virus and the DNA factors of the virus, and they chose to do a piecemeal approach, and it's their fault. But you're probably not going to sue them because they're going to pass some law saying, oh, this was some type of act of God or something like that. And so you can't sue them in court. So all people are just going to escape all types of liability when you put in these lawsuits, even though they put you in jail. And by the way, now we really know who are the essential people of the economy. Because it ain't them bankers and them Wall Street people there, right? It's your neighborhood grocery person, right? The people delivering the food in them trucks, right? Them people in them dollar stores, stocking up the shelves, right? Those people delivering your new iPhone and your new smartphone to your house and delivering the food to your house. Those are the essential people. And do you think that they would even pay them like time and a half for putting their life in jeopardy? No, they wouldn't. They still gonna pay them that minimum wage or even less than the wage when they should be getting paid even more. They should be getting paid even more. Anyway, enough of my ranting. It's my opinion of the day. Go do some research. And I'm out.
I think response to this coronavirus have created the world records in the human history to respond to infectious disease. The first alert was issued in the December 31st. Then we isolated the virus just in 7 days. 7 days. No history in the medical world have created such short time. And another 4 days, diagnostic test kits was sent to Wuhan. That is January 10th, 11th. Then, in January 20th, this new disease, Corona-19, was listed as notifiable disease. As long as for the notifiable disease, then all the strategies to respond to infectious disease can be law enforced, implemented. Then we have the 23rd, the counter sanitaire for Wuhan. Just 3 weeks, we recognize unusual epidemic. We isolate the virus, and we have diagnosis in the places. We put this disease in the notifiable disease. We have very strong action sample sanitaire put in the Wuhan. Only 3 weeks. That strategy create massive impact. You can conservatively estimate just in China, all the strategy prevented outbreak in the rest of provinces. How many number you prevented? We estimated it prevented 1.5 million cases. It avoided 60,000 of mortality. That's a tremendous life-saving strategy.
Thank you.